What do you do if you're a fan of the original Sega Genesis 3-button controller as far as the overall shape and layout, but you wish that you had more buttons like the 6-button controller? Well, the team over at Retrobit is here to solve that need for you, and they have their BIG6 control pad designed one of 3 different formats. They have one that is wired that will connect to your Sega CD or your Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive as well. They also have a USB version, and they have a wireless 2.4 gigahertz version. So it's one of those things where they've taken basically what everybody loves about the shape and the design on the 3-button controller, but they've merged it essentially with their wireless 6-button controller that we absolutely love. Let's take a closer look at these 3 controllers to see how they come out of the box. So we're actually going to start off with the Sega Master System and the wireless controller of all things, just to kind of see how it works and whatnot. I've just got my monitor in here so I can hear the gameplay. And the C button is the start button, because Sega was not very smart about not putting a start button on their controllers. It was on the system itself, on the Master System. Now, one thing I will say, when I went to go ahead and plug the dongle in, it was kind of a tight fit here on my Master System, and I do have an original Master System, and that is what we are playing through here. I do have adapters where I can play Master System games on my JVC XI, but we are actually playing through my Master System here, which is why you see kind of the jail bars and whatnot up and down the screen. Come on, you. There we go. You know, button presses and everything feel great on this so far. D-pad feels really, really good. I'm not feeling any, lag or delay or latency or anything along those lines. And it is the B button that is doing the jumping. C is start. I think this is one of those where I got to be careful because, yep, that platform was going to fall on me. But overall, this is playing really, really well on the Master System. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time here before we move on over to some Genesis games. And let's move over to a fighting game, one of my kind of go-tos anytime we are testing out a controller. We are going to test out some Street Fighter on the Sega Genesis, or in this case, the JVC XI. So now we are using the wired controller here, and one of the great things about that is the fact that if you look all the way back there, you can see where my JVC XI is, and the cord fits. The cord reaches. It's long enough. Look at Guile. Look how derpy he looked there. I never noticed that before. All right, I'm able to pull off all the moves without any big problem here. I've mentioned it many times before. My friend Chris Springa, man, he used to get me with Guile all the time with that Sonic Boom. He would just counter me like there was no tomorrow. Oh, he would aggravate me with this game. Analog stick feeling good for rolling. Button presses definitely feel accurate. Oof. Got him. For fighting games, I would say this feels pretty good. All right, up next, we're going to turn our attention to the Sega CD, and this is Final Fight CD, one of the best versions of this game. It is so good, even though it takes forever to load. And we will start off as Guy here. Yeah, button press is working great on this. Able to do the, that was A and B together. I mean, this is working great. I'm loving everything that this is doing right now. Now, I do have the Final Fight 1-Up Arcade, and, I mean, that's good, but, man, I've always loved playing this with a traditional controller. I mean, yeah, this is playing terrifically so far between the Master System, between regular Sega Genesis games and Sega CD games. I am absolutely digging everything that this is doing. As far as the button sizes and everything, I mean, it feels pretty darn similar to, legit hardware. The D-pad feels pretty much exactly like the other Retrobit D-pads, and that's a good thing. I mean, it's feeling very, very good here. So up next, we're going to go to the USB wired version, and this is my Sega Genesis Classic Edition, and let's see, what can we play on here. Now, one thing I do want to check, it does have the home button on the bottom. I want to see if this will take me back to the home screen. The select button on the bottom takes me to this, so we'll go back to resume game. Now, this is traditionally just a 3-button controller game, so that is important to note. And I always screw this up where I hit the special ability button before I hit the right buttons and everything. Yeah, button presses and everything are feeling great, just as with the other controllers. And then here we are going to double check in a second as soon as we get some of these guys out of here. XYZ do not do anything, which I was not expecting them to. Go back to select. We'll go to the main menu. That's all working exactly as it should. That's what we like to see. Do some ghouls and ghosts. Now, I mean, the one thing on all the games on this, they were designed... Ooh. You don't land on their heads, you moron. They were designed for the 3-button controller, so that is important to note. Ooh, I don't know how I got away with that, but I did. I did not get away with that, so... And I am terrible at ghouls and ghosts or ghosts and goblins. I have never been good at this game. As I proved again right there. Oh, that's dirty pool right there. Yeah, again, overall button presses and whatnot feel great on this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually switch to the Genesis Mini 2. Let's do some Earthworm Jim 2. It's always one of my favorites. Now, the one thing on this is this, again, does not use all 6 buttons. It's using just the 3 main face buttons. I have never been good at using, what was his name, Snots? Maybe. Yeah, we're going to move on here. Yeah, again, I got to say the button presses here feel great. The D-pad is good. I mean, overall, I'm digging what we are experiencing here on the Genesis Mini 2. Select button also takes me back here, so that's a good thing. You know, last final test we're going to do, let's hook up our Sega Mega Drive Mini 2. This guy here. And we also have the Mini 32X on. Very, very similar to what our Genesis Mini 2 was. A couple different games here, though. Oh, man, this is controlling great. I mean, the thing that I used to remember was what a pain it was to do the barrel rolls, and this is doing it wonderfully. Oh, as I got hit. Oh, I got hit that time again, too. Comfort level, I still prefer this. I do still prefer the traditional 6-button controller. This is not bad. I will say I don't love the placement of the start button. I would like a, more in the middle here versus, where it is above the A and B buttons, or the ABXYs, really. Oh, this Fantasy Zone is so good. If you've never played it, you really need to do yourself a favor and do that. I actually have this for not just the Genesis Mini and the Mini 2, but I have it on the TurboGrafx 16. And it's a fantastic game in so many different levels. Yeah, I am digging this. These are really, really nice, especially if, like I mentioned, you prefer the original 3-button controller ergonomics. If that's what you're looking for, if that's what you prefer, then these will definitely be right up your alley. If you are like me and you prefer the traditional 6-button controller, well... You probably won't like it as much as some of the older ones, or some of the earlier ones, shall we say. Now we have everything hooked up to our Nintendo Switch, everything paired and whatnot. Now, one thing of note, if you cannot get the BIG6 wireless controller to pair to the USB dongle, if you have already paired it to the de facto Sega dongle, there is a little pinhole right about here. Just hit that reset button, then go ahead, enter pairing mode, follow the pairing instructions in the manual. Should work for you without a problem. But let's go ahead, let's dive into the Sega Genesis collection, see what we have for overall gameplay. Diving into some Zero Wing, a great game available on the Switch Online expansion pack. Love the fact, too, that this is something we can play on original hardware, again, thanks to Retrobit and their re-release. Yeah, again, button presses feel great on this. Digging this quite a bit. Now, this does turn into a bullet hell real quick. But again, overall control and whatnot, working terrifically. Whoa, got to watch out for those guys. Let's hit the home button. Takes us right back there, which is awesome. Now let's check out the TMNT Cowabunga collection. And let's actually go to, where is it here? The Inferior Hyperstone Heist. I mean, it's not even the Big Apple at 3M. It's just New York City. Yeah, buddy, these are working great. Now, I keep hitting C by accident because I want that to be my my run button. I do actually prefer the fact that the Super Nintendo version, you just double tap and that's how you run. All right, TMNT Hyperstone Heist working great through the Cowabunga collection. Hit the home button again. Let's check out, and we're going to finish it out with the Super Nintendo. Yes, we're going to play Super Nintendo with a 6-button Genesis controller. So Retrobit has done another exceptional job here with these 3 controllers, and I honestly think, regardless if you're going for the, this is the OEM wired, the USB wired, or the wireless version. I mean, the great thing is you're going to have a pretty similar experience with all of them. They have a very similar fit and feel and finish to them. The buttons feel virtually identical from one to the next to the next. Same thing with that D-pad there too. I think the main thing is going to be, what's your application? OEM hardware, I mean, definitely you've got, the wired version here. If you are looking to use it with the Genesis or the Mega Drive Classic 1 or 2, then you've got the USB version, or then you also do have the wireless version, which will work with both. The one issue that I did run into was with this, I did have to go ahead and just use the best tip that I've always found, mechanical pencil to push in on that reset button to go ahead and pair it to the USB dongle after I had originally paired it to the standard OEM Sega Genesis dongle. Now, for me personally, I still prefer this layout, this size. It's just more comfortable for me. However, I'm also just, by and large, not a huge fan of the 3-button layout that this pretty much replicates. If you love that 3-button layout, this is going to be the way to go. Now, make sure that if you want to pick up any of these 3 or even the 6-button that I showed you right here, they're Saturn controllers too. Head on over to CastlemaniaGames.com. He's got them listed on their website, and try promo code ROCKSOLID10 at checkout. I'm not 100% sure if these are valid for that, but it'll save you 10% off of most items on the website. Plus, you earn what's called Castle Cash. It's his rewards program, where the more you spend, the more you save towards future purchases. And Castle Cash is just like cash, where there are no exclusions on that. So very, very cool. Just go ahead and sign up for an account over there to go ahead and make that happen. Now, the great thing here is these are more of the same that, what we've had from Retrobit with their partnership with Sega to date. I mean, they're good quality controllers. I think you will enjoy them. And again, it's one of those, if you would prefer this size versus this size, this is definitely going to be the way to go. Now, if you haven't seen our review of the original 6-button wireless controller, I will have that link for you right up there, where you can go ahead and check that out. And maybe this is something you might want to consider. Again, all available through CastlemaniaGames.com. And I do want to thank Retrobit for sending us these to check out and review. Thank you for your continued support of Rock Solid Productions.